Yo, we're back for Dana White Contender Series Week 6, and this is the big week. This is the week with Nick Newell, so I think this week most people are going to be watching, or they're going to get the most viewers. And it actually has another pretty good fight on there with Sadiq Yusuff versus Mike Davis. So really good week of fights here for the Dana White Contender Series. And the first fight is going to be Chase Super against Kanan Kawahi, and this is a good fight. Both these guys are super young. Chase Super's 18 years old. Kanan's 20. So they're both, really young in their careers as well. Hooper's 4-0, I believe, and Kanan is 4-0 as well. And I couldn't find much footage on Chase Hooper, but he's 18 years old, like I said, so extremely young, already getting this opportunity. He's 4-0 as a pro, 4-0 as an amateur, all of them by stoppage except for one fight. He has 7 submissions. He looks like a slick grappler. He has transitions well, does a good job jumping on submissions. Great back take, controlling the back. He'll transition to an armbar if he sees it. He had a really slick armbar in a fight I watched. He seems to have bad takedown defense, but is great off of his back at scrambles. He has good sweeps as well, gets top position, so hasn't really affected him yet that his takedown defense is not good. His striking seems developing, but he has decent tools. He's still figuring out, but he seems to throw some pretty decent straight punches, good kicks, and seems like, if he can get a little bit more polished, start to put things together and throw things full power, that I think he could be a fairly solid striker. And he won over a guy who was 16-7 and another guy who was 3-0 in his last fight, so he's fighting pretty decent competition. And he's going to be fighting Kanan Kawahi, who's another 20-year-old guy, and he hasn't fought the same level competition, He hasn't fought anyone with a winning record, but he's also 7-0 in his career. And Kanan seems to be the more powerful guy of the two. He has okay striking as well, decent hands, pretty good head kick, good takedowns. He gets big slams, good jiu-jitsu as well, but different kind of jiu-jitsu than Hooper. He has more of that heavy top pressure, likes to cement dominant position, go to work with ground and pound. And, if I had to say who I think is just the guy that would be developing faster as the higher ceiling, a bit more dynamic, would be Chase Hooper. He's just a little more fluid. I feel like his movements, are just a little bit better than that of Kanan. Kanan's a little bit of a, stiffer guy. So I'm going to go with Chase Hooper there to get the submission. And I'll say he gets it done in round number 2. And up next we have Jeff Hughes versus Josh Apelt. And, Jeff Hughes is the LFA champion, but wasn't really impressed with either guy. He's one of Stipe's main training partners, but he's not a high-level athlete. He is tough. He's durable. He keeps a decent output out there. He'll throw some decent uppercuts. Good in the dirty boxing range in the clinch. He's durable. Takes a lot of shots himself in the clinch area, though. He gets hit with big elbows. He got hit with big elbows against this guy named Green in his last fight. He was 4-2. He will use decent slips, try to come back with hooks or straight punches. He can't be inactive, just circle for periods of time, not do much. But he also could be sneaky athletic. He throws some decent spinning back fists. I've seen him have a nasty spinning heel kick KO out of nowhere in a fight that was just super slow paced. He has decent grappling. He can get takedowns, then decent ground and pound. Good power in his ground and pound. He isn't a pretty fighter, but he knows how to win ugly. He's young. He's getting better. He has the cardio to go all 3 rounds. He's had 2 back-to-back 5-round decision wins. And he's fought some decent competition, like Richard Odom's, Dan Spawn. And he has a solid record of 9-1. And he's going to be fighting the Bellator product and Team Alpha Male fighter and, Josh Apelt. And Apelt's 3-0. He won the Gladiator heavyweight title after being released when Bobby Lashley kicked his ass. So, that organization isn't really... It's known for kind of squash matches, though. But Apelt is the better striker here, in my opinion. He actually has a decent overhand right. He's aggressive. Throws a nice left hook overhand right combo. Has good hand speed for a big guy. Good uppercuts in close. If they stay on the feet, he could catch and KO Hughes early. But he has a bad chin. I've seen him KO'd with the first punch in a fight. His takedown defense is just very bad. He gets taken down easily with singles and doubles, especially against the cage. Off his back, he doesn't have much. He's a quick tapper. We saw what he did against Bobby Lashley. Tapped half a second after he gave his neck. And this is a close fight because Hughes isn't a great athlete. Apelt is decently explosive early, but definitely not going to trust Apelt over a tough, durable guy in Hughes when I've seen him quit just too many times. And Jeff Hughes will get the takedown, take the back, and get a rear naked choke, in my opinion. And I'm going to go with Jeff Hughes by second round rear naked choke. And up next, you have Sadiq Yusuff against Mike Davis. And this is really like an unbelievable fight, man. Both guys are elite level prospects in MMA. Sadiq Yusuff trains in Texas with James Vick, Lloyd Irving. And he's a freak athlete. He's one of those guys that their athleticism just jumps off the screen at you. And his hand speed is just something else. He'll chain together straight combos. Really likes to, throw that left hand, then the right straight right behind it. And the right straight has a lot of power, really fast. He likes to dig to the body. He'll go to the body with jabs. Very good at controlling the center and backing his opponents up behind the warning track. His speed, explosiveness, and power seems to really shock people early, and they get in a defensive shell. You saw that against Luis Gomez. Really was able to piece him up for a long time. He has a straight right hand is nasty. Good jab to the body, like I said. But he doesn't have a lot of variation in his striking. He still doesn't throw many kicks. He will throw a really nice left hook in the pocket as well, but really is mainly with hands. But his footwork is very good. He cuts you off, gets you backed up against the cage. He likes to get you against the fence, control you there. He'll hold you against the cage, land knees, bank time, and try to take the round that way. He's good at keeping top position too if he gets you to the ground. And, he does a good job of continuing to get that front headlock position, drag you down if you try to get up. Great get-ups if you take him down himself. Like I said, he was beating Luis Gomez's ass. He was a legit guy. He fought in the Dana White Contender Series. And then he did get clipped and rocked, but he was able to recover, kind of take over the fight again. And then he kind of lost in a freak way. He got, kind of shucked off the guy's back, got thrown down, and hit the mat with his head and got knocked out and finished. So, what's kind of a freak thing in his one loss. And he has good cardio. He's someone who I think, could be a future contender, along with Mike Davis. But Mike Davis looks like a sick prospect too, man. He was pretty big for 155, and this fight's at 145, so he is going to have a decent weight cut, but looks like a very clean boxer. He's a pro boxer, has a nice jab, straight punches, always has a high guard, great head movement, uses good fakes and feints, really digs to the body, really picks his shots nicely, very accurate, and he's a good wrestler as well. He has hard ground and pound, and gets good slams, good body lock takedowns, and pretty good kicks. He doesn't throw as many kicks either, but definitely is the more likely guy to throw kicks over Sadiq. I do think Sadiq's jiu-jitsu is much better, and if he gets on top, I think Sadiq will win the fight. And for Mike Davis, he hasn't fought any good competition, and a lot of his fights have been in a ring, especially his professional fights. I was able to see a few of his amateur fights where he looked very good in a cage as well, but I do think that it's a big difference, and Sadiq does a good job holding people against the cage. I think this is going to be one of the first times that Mike Davis is going to fight a guy in MMA who could match his athleticism, if not be more athletic. And, we took the dog shot last week on Domingo Pilarte when we thought that the line was a little bit off. And I think that again, man. I see Mike Davis at minus 300 at some places, and I just think Sadiq is much better than that. He's a high-level athlete, and because of that, I'm going to say Sadiq Yusuff by second round TKO with ground and pound. So I'm going to go with Sadiq Yusuff in that one. And up next, you have Jimmy Crute against Chris Birchler. And Jimmy Crute looked like an athletic fighter, decent striking and speed for a big guy. He's trained and striking with K1 legend Sam Greco. So if you know anything about, K1 kickboxing, you know the name Sam Greco. He's a legend. But he's a jiu-jitsu fighter, Jimmy Crute. And he has good takedowns, great top control. He'll transition to dominant positions very quickly. He has very nice arm triangles, good rear naked chokes. He will throw hard ground and pound and finish the fight. He's a young guy, and Australian MMA has really been on a roll lately. And he's beaten some okay veterans on the Australian regional scene. He's 7-0. He has solid cardio. He's gone the distance in his last two fights. He's going to be fighting Chris Birchler. He's coming off a loss to Matt Hamill in April. And Birchler will have the size advantage here. He's a tall guy with a long reach. Birchler just seems like a power wrestler, though. Seems to want to close the distance very quickly, try to work you against the cage. He is sloppy with his hands, but he has power. If he connects clean, I've seen him drop dudes before. He has good back takes, decent takedowns, good back control. But I think Crute is better on top, the better athlete on the feet. And I just think Crute's smoother. And I'm going to say that he gets a arm triangle submission in round one. So I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute in that one to, keep the trend going of submissions in this one. And up next you have Nick Newell fighting against Alex Munoz. And, this is the main event right here. This is the main event. This is probably the biggest fight in Contender Series history so far. with Nick Newell coming in trying to finally cement his spot in the UFC. He's 14-1, really been working. He's fought some big names, fought some good guys before. You saw him in there with Justin Gaethje, pretty competitive fight, and he's finally going to get a shot here to get a fight in front of Dana White. So he's going to be extremely motivated. He's probably going to be in the best shape of his life. And everyone knows the story with Nick Newell. He has one arm, so he hasn't really been getting a fair shake, even though in my opinion I feel like he could have, talent-wise and record-wise, been in the UFC a long while ago. He's kind of gotten the shit end of the stick on that, but he hasn't let him hold him back, and he came back last year after a short layoff from MMA, got another quick win in the first round, and he's coming in here and he's looking to continue that trend, get another win here. And for Alex Munoz, he looks like he's a great wrestler, a high-level athlete. Still a bit raw, though. He's training at Team Alpha Male, so he's getting good training out there. And does a lot of crazy techniques to close the distance, like flying knee, spinning back fist. He's athletic, so it's dangerous. Definitely has big power. Good in and out movement. I saw him get like a knockout in 3 seconds with a nice right hand. And but he's predominantly a wrestler. He wants to get on the legs, get you down. Really likes to get those double legs. He has great jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have great jiu-jitsu or ground and pound. And just a lot of laying praying, in my opinion. I saw him get stood up in his last fight quite a few times. And he fought a guy that was 4-2. He hasn't fought the greatest competition. And, Nick Newell is the much better striker here, even though many people think that's a disadvantage for him. He has nasty kicks, clean technique to the legs, to the head. He has good hands as well. He'll throw in combinations, nice uppercuts against the cage. He's a solid wrestler, has a bunch of different takedowns, singles, doubles, throws in the clinch. He has body locks as well. So he's a well-rounded wrestler. He had a pretty nice suplex to a rear naked choke against, can't remember who it was, but it was a really big fight back in the day where he won the XFO title. He was a 2-1 underdog, and he was able to get that done very early in the first round with a nice suplex to a rear naked choke. And, you can't fight the hands on his rear naked choke, so it makes it very hard to, once he gets that locked in, it's almost over, man. And he has good cardio. Like I said, I think he's going to be tremendously motivated for this fight. And Munoz is an interesting prospect. He's 4-0, very athletic. He's a former, Olympic-level wrestler, I think. And he just hasn't fought the level of competition that Nick Newell has. He isn't a seasoned guy. And I think Nick Newell, this is the opportunity of his life. He's been striving his whole life for this. Alex Munoz is going to have to come down for 155 for this fight. He was a 165 in his last fight, so don't know if that's going to be a factor or not. He doesn't seem like the biggest guy, so I don't think it will be. But, I think Nick Newell is a very high-level athlete as well. He moves very well. So I'm going to go with Nick Newell, and I'm going to say he wins by first-round TKO in that fight. And for the parlay of the week for this week, I guess, I'll go with... let's say Nick Newell, Jimmy Crute, and Jeff Hughes. I'll do those 3. And last week we did hit the parlay of the week for this one, for the Dana White Contender Series show. We did fairly well last week, and so we've been doing fairly well in the Contender Series. And go back, check out my video for the UFC Calgary card if you haven't seen it. And also make sure to check out those DraftKings breakdowns that me and Big Marley are going to be dropping tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. I hope you guys support it. If not, it's all good. I'm just trying to branch out. It's a good opportunity anyways, and it's really cool, man. So thanks a lot for watching. That's the video for this week for the Dana White Contender Series, and I'll see you guys again next week.